Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome here to a beautiful beach in Southern California on this solemn weekend for Christians around the world. Of course, this is a very important weekend. Good Friday today, Holy Saturday tomorrow, and Easter Sunday. So I send you all my very, very best and high hopes that you have a lovely weekend with family and friends. All right, we've got so much to cover with you. Grunion run here last night. Did it manifest itself? Was I here to see it? The beautiful spectacle of nature, or was I snoring? Make your bets now. Also, we've got spotter plane information. We know where those bluefin tuna are, and we're going to tell you all about it. We'll check you up on if anybody is catching them. We've got rockfish. We've got all kinds of other stuff starting to happen, including a good halibut bite going on here locally, and so much more. You know, it's a beautiful morning. You're likely to see pelicans hitting the water out there. And I'll tell you what they're on and whether the surf fishing is any good. It's an action-packed morning briefing as always after a great live show with my dear friend Danny Cadota last night. You know what time it is, everybody. It's time to move up on 2 million views on the morning briefing and all our shows. Thanks to all of you. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh my God. Is that good or what? It's gorgeous down here. And there are a lot of pelicans hitting the water. I waded out there yesterday. Bob Gifford, my dear friend, and I fished this pretty hard yesterday for nada, absolutely nada. But pelicans are hitting the water, and so I started thinking maybe it's just fry that they're on. And it appears that they're on some kind of fry, real small fish that have just hatched, maybe barred perch or yellowfin croaker, corbina, who knows what. But that seems like what they're on. It's gorgeous. Hopefully the fish are going to start biting a little bit better, and we're going to give it another try here probably tomorrow, but who knows, maybe a little later this morning. When I go in the bathroom at 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California, and I know one of the great captains are in there, I go armed, and I make sure that I'm locked and loaded all the time. Got to make sure when you go in there. And before we get into today's fish report, you see that young man right there? What a great kid. I walked out of the studio office when the Monte Carlo got in, and he runs over to me and says, I watch you every day on the morning briefing. And that means so much to me. It was really a lovely time I got to spend with that young man. I can't wait to see him again. In fact, I've got a little gift for you the next time I see you. So make sure you stop by so I can give you that gift because you went way out of your way. I also spent some time with Sergio and his son. They were on the Monte Carlo. Sergio explained to me that it was more about just getting out on the water. That's what he wanted to do. Nice going, Sergio. Oh, thank you. Yeah, those were nice fish.
Yeah, I had the best time of my life.
How's it going, guys?
Monte Carlo.
Right on.
22nd landing.
You were saying that it didn't matter to you.
It didn't matter
whether
to
you
me.
caught anything or not, right?
No, it didn't.
You just wanted to get on the water.
I just wanted to be off land.
Good. Awesome. Good job, Sergio. So nice to have met so many great people. Coming back from the Monte Carlo, as always, it is my pleasure. All right, don't forget, become a Patreon member today. See that little QR code right there? For as little as $5 a month, you can become a Patreon member. There's free gifts, there's parties, there's so many benefits, and more than anything, you'll help us to produce more and more content for you. So this can be your 24/7 fishing, adventure, all kinds of different stuff that we're going to cover here for you. We want to increase that, and we can only do it if you help us out. Become a Patreon member today for only $5 a month, or a little bit more if you want to throw more in. We're all about that. That would be fantastic. All right, let me get into it with you right now because we've got some spotter plane information. Spotter plane didn't find much anywhere in that day and a half to 2 day range area. He didn't go out west, and we're wondering what might be out there, but he went down the beach, and the vast majority of nice fish that he found and good evidence of fish is down there at 150 plus miles. And to fish that adequately, you have to be on at least a 2.5 day trip, and you're coming home before that last night of fishing on a trip like that. So I'm going to say a 3+ day trip. We're a little slow to get started here on this bluefin tuna. The Polaris Supreme incidentally had a 120 pounder trying to get on some fish, trying to make it happen. But it's slow to start this year. And I can only surmise, and I'm taking a guess, because, you know, you've heard my albacore predictions, how lame they are. But the water is much colder this year, so maybe it's just going to take a little while to get going. I have no doubt that we're going to have another big bluefin tuna year. And I'll talk about albacore in a second because Danny Cadota and I spent a lot of time on it last night. But in terms of the bluefin tuna, it's just going to take a little bit longer to get going because last year at this time, we were rocking on those fish. And we've seen some good evidence of good biting fish this year. The Polaris Supreme with that trip where he had 41 bluefin tuna. He also went into Collinette and caught copious amounts of 15 to 25 pound yellowtail. Had some really great fishing, but it has been sporadic. And anybody on that, you know, day and a half type trip, it's been goose eggs. It's been very slow. It was very slow yesterday for several guys out looking around for bluefin tuna. So our fingers are crossed that this water finally warms up a little bit and that things start to pop on that bluefin tuna. Now, that can change overnight. You know, it's weird. Sometimes you see that fish way down there at 170 miles, and then all of a sudden a bunch of fish submarine into a local zone, and you got fish off Ensenada. You just never know. So if you're going to go on one of these trips, you definitely need to go prepared. And a lot of the fish that the plane saw and that have been caught, this 120-pounder by the Polaris Supreme, have been decent big grade fish, biting those heavy knife jigs at night like a 250 gram to 400 gram, fishing 130 pound. When a captain says drop, it's essential that you drop right away. You've got to get on that fish immediately. And when he says drop to 300 feet, or I'm seeing the fish at 300, you want to drop to like 350 and then come up through those fish. That colored Iser line works really, really good to help you ascertain what depth you are at. It changes color every 100 feet. So when the captain says 300 feet, you go down 3 colors, you got it. And then you go a little bit further, you're down to 350 and you come up through that fish. Hopefully, we're going to see that fish move up a little bit closer because right now it's pretty much out of range for day and a half trips. I admonish you all, however, to stay tuned to the morning briefing because that can change overnight. It can change in an instant. And if anything happens during the daytime, I'll have it for you in great detail. So that's your bluefin tuna update. Now, albacore. All right, here I go again. People are, oh my God, this guy is nuts about albacore. What is his problem? Well, albacore is such a cool fish. And because we have such cold water and because we see that cold water moving down this way, we're getting a really good feeling about this. I haven't done an albacore update quite yet, but I'm just telling you that this cold water, that's what albacore like, okay? And there were guys on our live show pointing out that albies biting 57, 58 degree water. They're absolutely 100% right. They love that 63 degree water. That's what they love to frolic in. And if we see that albacore move down this way, if it ends up on Cortez Bank, Tanner Bank, I've caught it out there many, many years before, it's game on, okay? It will be game on. Now, Captain Mike McDaniels and many other captains are saying when I see more evidence of anchovy, when I see that, then I'm going to go out and do an exploratory albacore trip because that's their favorite feed. Now, so having that in mind, last night I talked to Chris on the San Pedro bait boat. I said, Chris, well, actually it was Danny Cadota. I was kind of eavesdropping. Danny said, Chris, are you seeing much anchovy? He said, more and more every day. More anchovy every day. Not a ton, not, crazy good, but more anchovy in the bait every single day. So high hopes that that's going to produce some good fishing here really, really soon. And, usually when you think of albacore, at least back in the olden days, that sounds so stupid, but back, 30 years ago, guys would just go out and start jigging after the 4th of July. They didn't even think about it until the 4th of July. But now with the electronics and all the technological advantages we have, we might be able to find some warm and cold water edges where that albie might be and might be able to get out there on a flyer in May, and find some albies. So we'll see what happens. It's all conjecture at this point in time. It's wishful thinking, but what's wrong with that? All right, the Pride's out on a day and a half trip. And with 12 guys, we got 11 halibut and copious amounts of rockfish. Everybody's going to go home from that trip with a lot of delicious eating rockfish. You've seen some evidence of white sea bass, but conditions are off. There was no current, and we haven't seen any significant catches of white sea bass so far this year. The water's a little cool, but you can pull off some decent sea bass fishing in this kind of water. I like to see it get to 60 degrees and above, and then you really start to catch. But you can catch sea bass in this kind of water. They went 2 for 4 the other day on the sea bass. The halibut are biting pretty well. They're nice fish, up to, say, 20 pounds or so. So fishing in the shallows is producing some evidence of sea bass, let's put it that way. Some okay and decent halibut fishing. And then, of course, because rockfish season is open here in Southern California, you can load up, and there's not a trip, if you have good weather, that you shouldn't be going home with some really delicious eating rockfish. In fact, from San Diego all the way up to the Channel Islands, we've seen some excellent rock fishing going on with big reds. I saw down there in San Diego, Dana War Sport Fishing all over it, having great fishing out of Davies Locker. Up here, Monte Carlo, looking at Sergio and those guys, they had some fun. The Pursuit out at Catalina Island. My good buddy Daryl Spivey is up fishing Santa Cruz Island and doing great on the big lings on the iron. He's been having great trips. A Mirage, the Endeavor's going tonight on an open party trip. May have some openings. You can check that out of Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing. Just copious amounts of colorful, delicious eating rockfish. And man, they're fun to catch. I know some of you are not into it. I'm into it. I love catching rockfish. I like that thump on the line. I like, what is it? What do I have this time? And then, it comes up, floats up, and then you get to see what it is that you have apprehended for the day. So lots of that going on. That'll continue this weekend, and you can see we have some pretty good weather. By the way, weather in terms of the Bluefin tuna area, okay, let's put it that way. All right, it's a little bumpy, and we're going to get a little bit of wind here next week. It looks like further offshore you go, it looks like we're going to have some wind. But here for the next 48 hours, it looks pretty good. So you should be able to hang in there and do really well. All right, so I'll give you a hint about my grunion run exploits last night. Do you hear that? Yes, of course. I was sleeping. We've been producing a lot of content, and I know that's not an excuse. I should have been scouring these beaches. But last night was the first night of a 4-day run. It's observation only, by the way, so you can't put your grimy hands on these little devils here. But tonight would be the night for me to walk out here. However, as you go into the grunion run, it gets later every night. And tonight, if I had to walk down here and take a look at this, it'd be about 11:30 at night when I would expect to see the best grunion activity. So I don't know if I'm going to make it tonight or not. You can put a comment in, make a bet on that. Because, I don't know, I need my sleep. I need my beauty rest. And as my mom used to say, it's not working. So anyway, it's a gorgeous morning here in SoCal. Now, surf fishing, as I said, Bob Gifford and I work this area, and it's just a small area. I know there's perch up in the Santa Monica Bay. There's still really good perch fishing down the Baja Peninsula. They like that cold water. Man, those pelicans are tearing it up down there by the jetty right now. And yesterday they were on fry, like I said, like bait like that, and there was nothing with it. There was nothing feeding on it, but they are all over, really hitting the water up there. We saw that yesterday, and Bob and I went down there and threw some little chrome jigs and fish bait also. We had grunions saved from last year that we fished with, but no biters. Hopefully this is going to start to pick up. A lucky crab lure is not a bad idea. It's evidenced by the Pride. Halibut are active in the springtime, so maybe that is going to get going here really, really soon. All right, May the 3rd, we're on the Endeavor out of Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing. Still have a couple of openings on that, man. The Endeavor with Tucker McCombs, it doesn't get any better than that. I want to film you catching a great big white sea bass. Make sure you get the last few spots that are available. Send me a text, 657-227-6459. Tell me that you want on the May 3rd Endeavor trip. I'll get back to you. Text, don't call. Please just send me a text. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm finished editing or doing whatever it is I'm doing. So that should be a great trip. And then also the Apollo with a few spots open. That is May the 31st out of 22nd Street landing in beautiful San Pedro. That's a 2-day extravaganza. Meals included. That should be an absolutely dream trip. The Apollo's looking great. Jeff, Jessup, and Jay and all the guys have been pouring their sweat and hard work into it, getting her ready, and she is looking gorgeous. I can't wait to fish on board the Apollo this year. All right, my friends, there you have it. It's another glorious, beautiful day, a very solemn weekend here today. Good Friday, tomorrow, Holy Saturday, and then Easter Sunday. And I wish you and all your loved ones a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll be keeping you in touch with the very latest. Gorgeous day here in Surfside, California. And as always, I send you my very best for a wonderful day and a lovely Easter Sunday weekend. Take care, my friends. I hope to see you really, really soon.